As you know, today, the WBC, they had their conference, their annual conference, and they basically released their list of mandatory fights. So we're not going to go through all of them, but we're going to kind of touch upon the more titillating topics, as we should say. I want to first start off with the, because he's just kind of the man of the hour right now. We're not going to talk about why, but my man Errol Spence. So he has been mandated to have a fight against your boy, Keith Thurman. It was
Keith sometimes.
Yeah, because I remember, was it last week, a couple of weeks ago, that one Bud Crawford, he said something like, I think, you know what I'm saying, that Errol Spence is going to fight Keith Thurman, even though he swore that he wasn't going to fight him. But let's kind of start off from there. So I'm going to start off with the casual rant. So the WBC, in my estimation, has been one of the more, when it comes to their ranking and stuff, one of the more kind of faulty and corrupt sanctioned bodies. I thought they paid a lot of favoritism to kind of Mexican-born and Mexican-American fighters. We're not going to kind of get into that. But do you like this mandate of Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman? This is at welterweight, even though Keith has talked about going up to super welterweight or junior middleweight. And then do you see this fight coming to fruition?
I unfortunately I do, especially with Crawford taking the back door and announcing his fight and left Errol Spence without a dance partner. So we knew that he was going to have to defend against one of the sanctioning bodies, the IBF, WBA, WBC. Even though he said he'll never fight Keith Thurman, but I think under his him being a man of his word, I think he would never fight him. But at this point, and now being so late in the game that when Terrence Crawford pulled out, WBC ordered this. He didn't choose this. He didn't duck Crawford just so he can get to Thurman. It was an order fight. It's a mandatory. Now, do I agree that Keith Thurman should be the number one?
That's the question.
That's the question. You know what I'm saying? Like you got Ortiz or Boots Ennis that's on there, but it's all questionable. But I think in the WBC eyes, I think that they said that this will be a high profile fight. Keith Thurman does have a fan base, and it's proven.
He does. I mean, he's easily the most high profile out of the
fighters, and I think Spence. I think it's just about principles about him not wanting to fight him. I think Spence wipes him down quick and easy, but I think his principality about this.
Really? Wait. You think Thurman is the most high profile out of all the welterweights?
No. Out
of the challengers?
Out of the challengers.
Out of the contenders, yes.
So, and we're speaking of... Name somebody that's more high profile than Keith Thurman.
I would say even a guy like Virgil Ortiz, or kind of been, you know, maybe for the wrong reasons right now. But Keith Thurman has. I mean, he just hasn't done much recently, man. This is a what have you done for me lately sport, man. And
but he still is a former unified champion.
He is a former unified champion. I'm glad you brought that up because
he has one loss.
Right. You had mentioned something previously, and you know I had chimed in, and I have heard this argument. And if you go back and you do your Google searching, Keith Thurman was stripped of this WBC belt for inactivity, if I'm not mistaken. You guys remember?
Yeah, I mean he doesn't.
Yeah, when he was sitting out.
Right. Do you remember? I'm almost certain that he was granted some kind of emeritus status, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he?
I think so, and I think he was told that when he comes back and he's healthy and he does one fight or whatever, he would be given a shot. He'd be given a shot at the champion. Is where I think this is coming from. So in the WBC's defense, they may have laid the groundwork for this. We might not like it as boxing fans, but if promises were made, Look, the WBC is keeping those promises. If I'm remembering correctly, it's been so long.
I do recollect that. I'll do a little research, but I will say that, even though it's past its sell by date, I think that Spence versus Thurman is way more tantalizing than a Crawford versus Benavidez. I mean, like, let's be
absolutely,
let's be real. That's not a question about that.
This is gonna be a good fight. This is gonna be a good fight.
Yeah, and at the same, I mean, I know why they're avoiding it, but wouldn't it be ideal for, right? We keep on talking about Boots and Ortiz, like, why don't y'all fight? And then y'all just kind of determine which one is gonna kind of come out of that.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that be a perfect?
Wouldn't that be like a golden boy issue?
You said what?
That's a golden boy issue, right?
I mean, it's not just a golden boy issue; it's a Showtime issue too. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Golden boy Showtime is.
I mean, Jaron Ennis is ranked 3rd in the WBC. Was he at the convention?
I don't think so. I didn't see a representation.
Well, there you go. There's the answer. There's the answer to your question, right?
Well, yeah, all these niggas, his name has not popped up. I have the list.
I bet you has. That means his people, his representation. He had nobody there to speak on his behalf. His
name is nowhere to be found. But neither is Victor Ortiz, which is a little bit surprising because there's
Virgil Ortiz petitioned for.
Oh yeah, Ortiz is Crawford's mandatory after this Benavidez fight.
You might be too close to your mic, Randy.
That's not WBC. But yeah, but I was speaking just
you just said speaking specifically for WBC, but
yeah, just for the WBC, as far as that, they kind of have their favorites in there, but we won't stick too long on there because there's so many other fights that we were talking about. But I wouldn't just Boston Jared, do you foresee this fight coming in the spring?
Well, that's all going to depend on this network situation here with Al Heyman and PBC. I think they'd like to do it earlier than that, especially if they want to revisit the Crawford fight. So I think the springtime might be a little bit too late. And you got a lot of stuff to contend with in the springtime too, man.
February. So
I think first quarter, sometime first quarter of next year is when you're going to probably see this fight. Yeah. I'm thinking,
and then I mean, spring is right. It's April, May time.
But you got NBA playoff basketball you got to worry about then. So I don't.
It's not, to me. It's not. It's so many. It's not looking good for that. But
what's not looking good specifically?
Well, I mean, Spence and a Thurman fight, but I mean, Spence is going to fight sometime in the winter, spring.
But think about it. So, like, look at the bigger picture of boxing. So Canelo's out. He's saying that he's going to be out a year.
He talking about not coming back in May.
Oh, if he comes back in May, then yeah, May is shut down. But if he don't fight in May, then all of boxing is open to take over that Cinco de Mayo fight.
Yeah, I mean, what I would do if I was Al and them dudes, I would put Benavidez and Plant on Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, they were saying that or the Wilder Ruiz.
I would put them. I would stack them.
I thought it was both February. I thought that for the Plant and
that's right.
Benavidez was already set. But I think that might be February. That might be a strategy, right? Because if you do get that fight in February, because one thing that we didn't mention is that the WBC has mandated that the winner of the Plant versus Benavidez fight is going to be the mandatory for Canelo Alvarez. So February, March, April, May, that's right. That gives us time for them if he does come back in May to fight that challenge. And I don't see him fighting B-ball. I mean, I know that he kind of his pride. I think that's just cap. That's just things that you kind of put out there into the stratosphere to say that. But who knows what's up with B-ball?
Man,
I heard you were thinking about dropping B-ball.
Who?
Match the Zone. They don't want nothing to do with this guy, man. They were pissed at him.
If he keep winning, what's your choice going to be though?
Bring him over to PBC.
If Bebo keep winning, and if he beat Better BF, then who going to drop him?
We're a long way from that fight. I mean, Devin Haney was winning. Demetrius Andrade was winning. I mean, there's no interest in this guy.
Yeah, but Andrade,
there's no interest. My man was over there.
Nobody,
I would put a giant asterisk.
Andrade selling more tickets in Providence than B-Ball is selling anywhere in the United States. Nobody want to see this dude. My man said they weren't even close to capacity out there last weekend. I mean, there was empty seats.
If you watch it, it was a lot.
They were giving seats away.
It was a lot of empty seats.
He was just like, people were just so uninterested.
He doesn't have that style either. But let's kind of save that.
We got to talk about
we are going to get to that. So let's go down a few weight classes, and we have Isak Cruz, who's been has a mandatory against Shakur Stevenson for the lightweight. I think that this is probably some of the most exciting news that has come out of this. I'm gonna be honest, because this is probably the most competitive weight class, and it is said that it is agreed upon that the Shakur Stevenson and Isak Cruz fight will decide the next mandatory for the.
So this is an eliminator.
This is an eliminator.
Yeah. But right. So but listen, we have Devin Haney, who was in talks to fight Vasily Lomachenko, and then so it's right. It's this mini tournament, right? I mean, what could you ask for?
That's how it came about.
What's that?
That's how it came about. So if you watch, like the link I showed you, so during the conference, when like they were going down each division, and when it came down to this division, the lightweight division, they were like, yeah, Haney's gonna fight Lomachenko. Is that set? And then the representative for Haney was like, yo, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna make sure it's set. And then another representative for Stevenson came up and was like, hey, I want to do a mini tournament. You know what I'm saying? We agree to anybody, any name that y'all put on there. And then they came up with Isak Cruz, and he was like, yep, we accept it. And so they were like, hey, it's on. I was like, man, that it was so ill the way they put the fight together. And then they were like, yo, this is a fight, and then it'll be an eliminator. But hey, it cut all the bullshit out.
Yeah, but the thing is, this fight is probably going to end up on ESPN. I don't see this fight is going to have to go to purse bid, and I don't see Bob Arum.
When you say this fight, give us.
I'm talking about the Shakur and
Isak Cruz.
And Isak Cruz. Yeah, you got two rival promotional companies, and unless they can work something out, that fight's going to have to go to purse bid.
Yeah, maybe. What about putting them on the same card?
As an undercard?
Same card as who?
Yeah, as Haney Lomachenko.
But that's an in-house fight. I mean, Haney Lomachenko is an ESPN. That's a top-ranked card, though. And Isak Cruz.
You just said that Isak and whatchamacallit is probably going to be on ESPN. But if you do that, then you're going to make it an ESPN pay-per-view.
What I'm saying is that he's going to end up over there because of the result of the purse bid. That's how that fight ends up on ESPN. Now, if they win the purse bid and it does end up on ESPN, you're right. You throw those two together. Now you have a pay-per-view.
This is exciting time. So this brings. Do y'all remember how Oscar De La Hoya was able to fight Bernard Hopkins, right? They had that. Well, actually, now I take that back. It was Felix Trinidad when he fought Bernard Hopkins, right? They had that middleweight tournament, right? It was basically just kind of 4 fighters.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, those are the things that we need. When anybody who wrestled in high school or went through any kind of Golden Gloves tournaments and stuff that you've been a part of, you remember about being matched up, going through, having your seed-ins and stuff. So you can easily identify the number 1 seed, based on who has the belts, the number 2 seed, and before have a small tournament. And then this is something that will grab not only the boxing aficionados, but the casuals attention. And this is what because to me, this is the best division in boxing is the lightweight division.
You think so, huh? 135, huh?
I think 135 is.
Well,
it used to be 147. They it's too much cap in there, but I think at 135, when you think about Haney, Lomachenko, well, let me think about it, because part of
when you say the best, what do you mean?
As far as from one
top,
from like top to bottom as far as competitiveness, and then if you match up the fighters, the kind of fights that you would get, and just the quality and skill that you would have each of those fighters.
Well, maybe now because 154
people
destroyed itself. It was 154 for the last several years. Was the best, the deepest division in the sport, and they all fought each other and they all beat the hell out of each other. So you might be onto something. I would argue that maybe 175 is close. Okay. But you hit the nail on the head, man. If Shakur Cruz goes to purse bid and that ends up on ESPN, why would you not throw the two of them on that card together and do an ESPN pay-per-view event?
Do a mini tournament. Let's get it popping. Let's get the people excited about boxing again. And this is something that is done before. And I hate to kind of harp upon this, but UFC does this all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
UFC does what?
What they'll do is they'll have the champion, fight the challenger, but then they'll also put in the
like the 3-4.
Yeah, like 3-4 are the contenders, and part of it is because there's so many injuries that are part of it that they could easily have one of the 3-4 step up into that championship bout if somebody has to pull out.
Right.
So boxing, I think we see a lot less of the people pulling out from there, but we don't want to get too granular into. So like, let's just we're gonna tap into a couple of more of the mandatories before we get into the results of last week's fights. So another fight that I want to talk about. Let's jump into the big boys. So we know that Tyson Fury is having basically a waste of a fight against Derek Chisora on December the 3rd, and it's not anything against Derek Chisora. I give him a lot of credit and all that, but at this point in his boxing kind of regimen, Tyson Fury should be fighting the best of the best. But I think
let's stay busy fight.
What's that again?
I said it's a stay busy fight. I mean, Usyk's the one that claimed he got injured.
Yeah.
So that
I will give you that. Okay, yeah, I will.
Right?
Yes, so. I will. So point made. So with that said, so they have Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz have been mandated to fight to decide the next mandatory. So from that result, we could get the fourth fight in the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder, or we could get something that would be interesting, or at least I don't really see this mandatory really coming to fruition, because we know that is going to be eyeing for Usyk after this. But let's start with you, Boston Jared. So first of all, let's give your thoughts on Deontay Wilder and Andy Ruiz fight, and then do you think that the mandatory will be able to sniff the WBC belt after the win?
No, absolutely not. The winner of this fight probably goes on and maybe gets in a position to maybe fight a guy like Joe Joyce, maybe, or Anthony Joshua.
I'm not mad about that.
Depending on where those guys are at, if they're able to fight and win respectively. But no, I don't see any way that Deontay Wilder fights Fury for a fourth time. I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. And I expect Wilder to stop Andy Ruiz brutally somewhere in the first half of that fight.
I do too. That and so that's the thing is, what's funny is that I don't think you would have trouble selling the public on a fourth fight with Tyson Fury, particularly as he smashed Robert Helenius, and then if he smashes Anthony Ruiz, everybody's gonna. Right. Even
I think Fury will straight up retire and be like, yo, I'm really done.
Yeah, he ain't fighting that dude again, man. He ain't fighting that cat again. And as soon as people go to YouTube or whatever, they see that picture of Deontay Wilder laying face down with the drool coming out of his mouth after that third fight, people aren't going to be interested in that fight. I mean, look at what happened with Canelo and Triple G. I mean, they had two competitive fights. And they couldn't sell that third fight.
The fight was terrible for one thing. It was garbage.
Yeah, and if you look at,
but those first two fights were excellent fights. I mean, those
no, absolutely, yeah. But I think that's to a good point. But so do you think that? So what do you think that the winner? So what you're saying? I think that the WBC will have a very bad kind of public relations problem if they are trying to strip Tyson Fury for not fighting the winner of that, particularly if he's going to do the undisputed with Usyk.
Yeah, I don't think you can strip him from doing undisputed. So
no.
If you look at the landscape, you know what I'm saying, and Fury mentioned it, he only got like maybe two fights left in him. So if you look at it, it's going to be Fury Usyk, and if he unifies, he's gonna give Joshua a fight. I don't care if Joshua loses two more fights by then. That's going to be the biggest.
If Joshua loses his next fight, that fight's done. I think.
I don't think. Look, he fighting Chisora right now.
Well, that's a stay busy fight, though, and you know that.
I'm just saying though, like for the Pride of UK, they're going to make that fight. You know what I'm saying?
I think if Joshua loses his next fight.
Joshua ain't fighting anybody. I think Joshua is going to he's going to have a tune-up fight, and then he's going to set himself up for this Tyson Fury fight. But I think I think Fury is fighting Chisora next, then the Usyk, and then he's going to fight Joshua. I think those are the three fights, and then he's out of there. So there's nobody going to force him to do anything. So the best thing that like Boston said, that Wilder's going to wax Ruiz, and then after that he might have to fight a Dillian White or Joe Joyce. You know what I'm saying? In the meantime, before he get a shot at however they're going to break these belts up, or if Usyk wins.
A lot that can happen. You talk about almost 18. That's almost 18 months from now. You know, there's a lot that can happen. But
one thing I know, it ain't gonna be no Wilder Fury 4.
Definitely not. That shit definitely not gonna happen.
That's definitely not gonna happen.
Definitely not gonna happen. So,
I think. Because somebody who's lost 2 knockouts, even though, it would be surprised. I don't think that is good for boxing. I just wouldn't be surprised just with how Tyson Fury is. He kind of marches to the beat of his own drum. But I do agree with the pundits that I don't think that it would be a good look. But, if he goes and smashes and pulverizes, which I do see him ending the fight against Andy Ruiz violently. Where does he go from here?
Where does who go?
Deontay Wilder.
Like I said, I think a Joe Joyce fight in the UK. We've talked about this on the show before. I think Wilder, if he wants to fight for whatever he wants to fight for another 2 years, maybe, he needs to go to the UK and fight. He needs to go over there, experience that, and build his cachet over there. I think a fight with Joe Joyce.
But he's going over there.
He a bigger name than Joyce. Why
he's gonna have that, but he's gonna have this elephant in the room that is just gonna be out there like, okay, you're fighting Joyce, you're fighting Joshua, but you know that there's this Tyson Fury guy who literally knocked you out twice.
Yeah, dude, he fought him 3 times and he lost arguably all 3 times, dude.
Yeah,
I think that chapter
ain't never gonna happen.
That chapter is closed. And I don't think
there's no benefit. There's no benefit for Fury.
A 4th time.
No, it's definitely no benefit for Fury. Like for Fury, like I don't think that he would do the fight. I agree with that. But at the same time, you think that not Anthony Joshua, but Deontay Wilder will go over to England to fight Joe Joyce, who is the juggernaut, for no belt. They're not. What belt are they fighting for?
They wouldn't be fighting for any belt. They fight for a ton of money and popularity. I mean, these guys, those guys can sell out the O2 over there, and that's not something that Deontay Wilder has ever experienced. If you dangle the right check in front of him, I think he takes that fight in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
in a heartbeat. Especially if there are network issues over there, and he's still PBC affiliated, and they ain't got no network. You know,
I wouldn't be mad at that, right?
Speculating.
So he doesn't have to. Yeah, he doesn't have to revisit the nightmare of Tyson Fury, and he can get a little bit of get back by like knocking out all of the other English men that are not named Tyson Fury. So, all right.
Now that is a tough. It can be a challenging fight to make because of Joe Joyce, who is aligned with. I believe Joe Joyce is a Frank Warren Queensberry boxer.
Yeah.
So you know how that shit goes. So anyway, go ahead.
I think it can be made. We'll see though. So
if anybody can tell Al what's going to happen and what he's going to do, and Al's not going to say shit, is Deontay motherfucking Wilder. Is one of the few guys over there that can be like, Al, this is what we're going to do, make it happen. And Al's not going to sit there and try to, Deontay, if anyone can do it, Wilder is the guy that can do it.
But before we head out, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe and comment on our page. We've been building up our pundit community at this point, and it's been a good thing. Y'all have good insight, and we do take your comments and we use that to try to improve upon the show. But with that said, we want to make sure that y'all tune in. We're going to have our shows coming out. We're going to move it up to Thursday, I believe. But make sure that you subscribe and you will get notifications. With that said, I'm Professor Nims. I'm signing off for my man, the Casual Rand.
Peace.
Boston Jarrett.
Peace.
Coach Dave is not with us tonight, but we make up the pundits of pugilism, and we thank y'all for rocking with us tonight.